Oop.
All right, here we go. So, hey guys, it's Warriors NRL Fanatics here. Welcome to tonight's live preview between the New Zealand Warriors and the Newcastle Knights round 12 fixture, which is on Saturday at Morden Daily Stadium in Redcliffe. And joining me tonight is a special from the Bay 53 podcast. It's a Newcastle Knights podcast. Go and check their podcast out. I'll put a link in the description below and check out their social as well. But it's Bayford podcast. Sorry, I forgot your name, mate. Just quickly.
My name? I'm the K Dog from Bay 53.
Okay, so K Dog from the Bay 53 podcast is joining me tonight. So look, what we're going to do is go through the game, give a preview, give our predictions and that, and how I think the game end. It's both teams, need to get a win. It's a bit bag for both sides at the moment. But K Dog, why don't you introduce yourself and how you became a Newcastle fan, and tell everyone about your podcast.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much for having us tonight. This is a bit of a different experience for me. I'm sort of used to, recording in the background and, just recording hours of rubbish that we can sort of cut down to, hopefully an hour to 90 minutes of good quality content. So doing this live at the moment, where I can't fuck up too much, I'm excited. I'm enjoying this. I'm K-Dog, one half of the Bay 53 podcast. My offsider and co-host Bretto was unable to join us tonight, but I said that's all right. I'll try and do twice as much work and see if I can do us justice. So I'm fairly one of the elder crews of rugby league fans these days. So I've been following the Knights since they came into the New South Wales Rugby League back in 1988, and I was actually a soccer fan. I don't know if this is good, but so I did some coaching for the local soccer team, Broadmeadow Magic. So I was actually a bigger, I played and supported soccer, but living in Newcastle, you just couldn't avoid rugby league. And my father grew up out in Lakemba, out in the sort of western area of Sydney, and he was a Bulldog supporter. They were closer to Canterbury. And he was a Bulldog supporter growing up. But when we came to Newcastle and the Knights entered the competition, my dad said, this is going to be a big deal. I want my boy to be a part of it. And so, he took me to all the home games. And I think that season we didn't win the Spoon, but we certainly didn't win too many games. But I've just been hooked ever since. I love going to the games and I love the team. And we left Newcastle a couple of years after their first season and moved overseas to Port Moresby. And rugby league was just it's their number one sport over there, and so we were still able to follow rugby league. And when it became the ARL, and then came back to Australia and just stuck with the Knights, and I'm dried on now. I can't get rid of them. So lifelong fan, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's a nice story. Actually, really enjoyed that story. I mean, it's good to hear, how people, grew up supporting their team, and you're a big Newcastle Knights fan. But look, who was the favourite player that watching Newcastle Knights? Who was the favourite player you looked up to the most?
So my favourite player will always be Andrew Johns, but I would absolutely not say that I ever looked up to Andrew. Andrew has an ability that I will never ever come close to aiming for or even thinking about, and certainly his off-field characteristics are certainly not something that I've always thought I should look up to. But funnily enough, one player that actually does come to mind is someone who I've always sort of had a respect for and looked up to in terms of the way they carried themselves on and off the field, was Steve Simpson. So I think Steve Simpson is possibly roughly my age, maybe a bit young or maybe a bit older. But I remember when he was such an unassuming character, but you could always tell the way he played the game. He gave everything that he had to give, but also everything that he had to give was just so much better than so many other players around him. And I had the pleasure of meeting Steve a couple of times, and he was always very welcoming. He was always very polite, but he just had this sort of calming but strong character about him that just attracted you to him. And so, Steve has always been a Knights player that I sort of look towards, and very happy actually that I think that he was back with the club this year, sort of doing a bit of coaching. And Steve Simpson's probably a player that I've always looked towards or looked up to, probably a little bit more than I did Andrew Johns. But Joey will always be my favourite. He's still the best rugby league player I've ever seen with my own eyes.
Yeah, well said. But one before we get into the whole preview of the game this week is what was your favourite Newcastle Knights game that you enjoyed, like growing up as a fan, like watching?
So I'll probably go away from the more obvious ones. Your grand finals obviously always speak for themselves, and even some of the finals games. I got to, between that 2000 and 2002 period, I don't think I missed a game. And so obviously, like, the grand finals speak for themselves, but I also got to go to the semi-final in week 1 of the 2001 finals, and we absolutely destroyed the Sydney Roosters. But one of the games that probably stands out to me the most was when Matty Johns came back to Newcastle in 2002. We annihilated Cronulla that night. I think we beat them 52-8. And then they subsequently returned the favour and beat us 60 points to 12 later on in the year. But that Sharks game when Matty came back in 2002 was just it was just a really fun atmosphere to sort of be a part of. Like, you could tell that everybody at the ground was just they were just happy to see Matty again, and we were happy that he, like, you sort of got the sense that he was sort of happy to be back as well. So that's probably one of the games that really stands out in my mind in terms of one of my favourites. The only other one that comes to mind, and I have to mention this because I'll never live it down, is the 2014 comeback against the Storm. I left that game early, so I left that. So I was there, but I left with about 10 minutes to go. And the honest to God truth of the matter is that I didn't leave because I thought we were going to lose. I had a soccer trivia night that I was already late for. And, well, actually, no, I probably did think we were going to lose because I thought to myself, look, it's 10 minutes to go. We're 2 tries down. I'm already late for this thing. I've got to keep moving, and we're probably not going to win this. And I could hear the crowd roaring in the background as I was outside the stadium, and I was thinking, oh no, what have I done? And that's something that they still give me shit about in Bay 53. They don't mind reminding me about that. So but those are probably the games outside of, as you said, the grand final that always stay with me.
Yeah, yep. So well said off. That's a good memory there in terms of games. But why don't we get into it now? So this week's game, it's against New Zealand Warriors, Newcastle Knights, and look, K-Dog, can you go through the Newcastle lineup?
I can.
The team list, and I'll go through the Warriors team list, both side.
Right. I can. So The Newcastle Knights line up. There's one change to the back five. So we've obviously got Kalen Ponga and our captain at number 1. Edric Lee retains his place at number 2. We've got Dane Gagai in his second game back from injury at number 3. And Inari Tuala, who's probably a bit rough to get dropped for the last game. He comes in for an injured Bradman Best. And so we found out this week that Bradman Best is looking at about 4 to 6 weeks recovery from his elbow dislocation. Dominic Young, who's in extraordinary form at number 5. Anthony Milford stays in at 6. And another big in that Knights fans, I think, should get excited about is Jake Clifford has come back. By all reports, he had a blinder in reserve grade last week. So he's moved into the halfback position. David Clemmer at 8. Chris Randall maintains his position at 9. Dan Safidi 10, Tyson Frizzell 11, Lachlan Fitzgibbon 12, and Mitchell Barnett 13. And then we've got a bench of Phoenix Crossland, Jacob Safidi, Leo Thompson, and Matt Croker. So I think that's 2 changes to the team from last week.
Yep. So look for the Warriors team now. That's the home side, and fullback. On the wing is Dylan Watini-Zalesniak and Pompey in centres. Masala is on the other wing. Chanel Harris-Tavita's back in the starting lineup, and he partners Sean Johnson in the halves. Ben Murdoch-Masula replaces the injured Adam Fanua-Blake in the prop position. Freddie Lussick comes into the hooker spot, while Jazz Tavanga moves to the prop spot. Ewan Aiken in the second row with Tohu Harris, and Jack Murchie's the lock. For the Warriors is Taniela Otukolo, Aaron Pene, Bunty Afoa, and Elias Katoa. And the reserves are Rocco Berry, Dynamis Louis, Dejan Arce, Pryor Peterson Rabati, Ronald Volkman, Jackson Fry, and Jesse Arthurs. So that's the Warriors team. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on the team list quickly? What's your thoughts on the Knights lineup first?
So I think both teams have named the strongest, really strong sides. I think individually across the park, there's a lot of talent on both teams. I'm sort of I'm happy with with the team that the Knights have named. I mean, within the relative context that we're shit at the moment, but in terms of injured players. That should still be a strong lineup. So I really like it. I think Knights fans should get excited about the Clifford-Milford combination. We're at Bay 53 podcast. We're very much on board with Adam Clune, and we've really liked a lot of what he's done this year. But you really do get the impression that he's playing busted. And he really was only brought into the team to be that backup. So I think this is the rest that he needs. And I think this is a great opportunity for Jake Clifford to sort of find some of that form that he discovered at the end of last year and certainly the beginning of this year. By all reports, my offsider Bretto watched the New South Wales Cup game last week, and he just said it was just like vintage Jake Clifford, as much as you can say vintage about someone in his early 20s. But the kicking game was strong, the defense was strong, his passing game was solid again, and so I sort of think that halves should really add a little bit more variety in attack to that the Knights have been missing over the past few weeks and the past couple of months, to be honest. And look, we really liked what we saw from Anthony Milford against the Broncos. We thought he had a strong, solid game for the 80 minutes against Brisbane. Obviously, things went against the team, and the team didn't really respond well in the second half, none of which we think was Anthony's fault. So, yeah, we really like the team. We're sort of hoping as well that Anthony Milford will be able to unlock a lot of KP's talent and attacking ability. And if we can just tighten up a little bit defensively, we should give ourselves a shot against a Warriors team that knows how to score points. So yeah.
Yeah, look, I think it's a very good Knights team. Actually, I it's good to see Anthony Milford in the side and Jake Clifford's a big in for Newcastle there. Look, I think it's very good Knights team on paper. Look, for me, the Warriors team list. Now, I am a little bit disappointed with the team lineup, to be quite honest. I mean, there's quite a few selections, few selections there, which I am questioning here by Nathan Brown. I'm sure you know a lot about Nathan Brown. He used to, coach Newcastle. I'm sure you guys will have a lot to say about Nathan Brown. But
yeah, every Knights fan's got a thought or two about Nathan Brown.
Some stuff about Nathan Brown. I know you guys. He's done it again, which some of these team selections quite odd. Like, Jazz Tavanga playing the prop position. He's not prop. He's a second. He's more of a lock. You've got, look, I don't know. Adam Pompey last week didn't play well. I don't know how he's still selected personally, but it's good to see Chanel back on the side, but I don't know. It's an okay team, but there's some selections where I question this week. But yeah, look, what are your thoughts? On what are your thoughts on the Warriors team? Actually, what are your thoughts on the Warriors team? I know you're a Newcastle fan, but on the Warriors side.
So this one that's selected, or the Warriors in general, like the Warriors as a club?
Just selected, and look, how do you, from a point of view, how do you think they're going this season? I know
I definitely think that
at the moment, but
yeah,
how do you think the Warriors are going this year? Look,
I absolutely think that the Warriors are underperforming at the moment, which is a shame. I think there's a lot of talent in that team. I mean, you sort of look at Tohu Harris, like you mentioned, Jazz Tavanga, who is not a prop. That's some mad scientist shit from Brownie there. And obviously Reece Walsh, Reece Walsh to me really should be and does operate on that sort of KP level in terms of, he has that ability to open up the game. But I don't understand. I don't understand why the attack is so inconsistent with the Warriors. Sean Johnson, I still maintain, is one of the better halfbacks in the game, and Chanel Harris-Tavita should be loving running off, working in tandem with Sean. So, I just find the Warriors a very confusing, sort of frustrating team to watch, because when we were at Magic Round and you were just watching them in that last 15 minutes and the way they were sort of playing the game, you just get curious as to what they need to do to unlock that for 80 minutes.
Yeah, exactly right. It's lack of consistency, and then this year, we're not putting the full performances on. We're having one good half of footy, the next half just ordinary and terrible at the same time. So that's the problem with us at the moment, and why we're losing games right now. We've lost our last 3 games. So that's the most disappointing thing. And so those were winnable games. Color game was the most frustrating one for me, because we were, the Sharks were down 11 players. They're down 11 players, and we're still going to break their defensive line down. And that was the most frustrating game for me, actually. I don't know if you watched that game, but I
watched every minute of it.
It was very annoying. That game was, that was painful to watch.
The Warriors-Sharks game was
the Melbourne game was expected, because Melbourne's such a good team.
Yeah.
Yep.
All I was going to say was the Sharks-Warriors game. Yeah, because we were, myself and Bretto were probably very critical of the Warriors that night, and I still maintain it. You should be able to score at least against 11 men. But some games, I can't describe it, and I know this is going to sound like I'm just saying, it's the vibe of the game, but there are some games that you watch sometimes, and the game just gets into a rhythm, like it just gets into a groove, and you just felt like the Sharks that night, like the players just like they just switched on, and they knew what either teammate, either side of them was going to be doing. And I think the longer that game went on, it got more in the Warriors' head as opposed to sort of a lack of any sort of ability. So, but yeah, that was a weird game to watch. And it's like I said, as you know, you look at the way they then decided to just pile on the points against the Rabbitohs. You go, why couldn't you do some of this against the Sharks? So, yeah, it's always a frustrating team to watch. And I alienate enough people with my critiquing of Nathan Brown. So I certainly am. I'm not going to go too much into that tonight. I just think the Warriors have a great opportunity to pick up a win this Saturday, because the Knights really are playing like a team that just have no confidence. Like something has happened to them in the past couple of months, and we cannot put our finger on it. But there just seems to be nothing that they can do to just remind themselves that they have the ability to be a good footy team. It's just like it's like something out of Space Jam, where they've touched where they've had their talent sort of, or their confidence sapped out of them, and they don't know what they're doing anymore. It's really weird to watch. So I think this Saturday is a great opportunity for the Warriors to get that winning feeling back again, and just get another push towards a finals run.
Yeah. You're well said there. But moving on now. So look, key players. So who are your key players, like key matchups to look out for, like in terms of Newcastle Knights and the Warriors? So who are you looking out for? Key players to watch out for?
I think I don't really think you can go past Reece Walsh and Kalen Ponga. I think they're the two sort of up and coming star fullbacks in the game at the moment. I mean, KP probably not so much. He's probably established himself, obviously at least as an Origin rep player. But it's sort of hard to go past those two players. For me personally, I think KP's probably dropped off a little bit in the past couple of weeks, and you'd sort of hope that he might see this as a big opportunity to step, just to step up and find that form again. But look, beyond the two star players, I think this game really is going to be won or lost, and it always is in Warriors Knights games. In your front row, it's going to be a battle between whether David Klemmer and Daniel Saifiti can give the team the start that we usually lack against the Warriors, or whether Ben Murdoch-Masila and Jazz Tavanga, I guess, can lay that sort of, strong, dominant, go-forward platform that the Warriors have this habit of coming out really hard against the Knights in our past few clashes. And the Warriors historically, if they can get on top of the Knights in that first 5-10 minutes, then they just run away with the rest of the game. And I think it'll be the case this Saturday. If David Klemmer and Dan Saifiti can just get on top and sort of stop that early momentum that the Warriors get against us, I think that'll go a long way to deciding how the game goes.
Yeah, look, for me, players always look out for the likes of Kalen Ponga for Newcastle. The danger that really got likes of Tyson Brazil and look, Ponga, he's re-signed for the next couple of seasons. And what's your thoughts on that? Actually, you'd be pretty happy with that news. I see you went and attended that press conference that they did on Kalen Ponga re-signing. So how do you feel about it? Obviously, you'd be pretty happy with that, with Kalen staying on, because there was a lot of talks around the Dolphins, but he's decided to stay on.
I can safely say on behalf of Bay 53 podcast that we're ecstatic. KP is by far our favourite player. in the Knights at the moment. We love watching him play. We think he's talented. We think he's got great character on the field, and we actually genuinely think that he's one of the tougher players going around. We almost get the impression with Kalen, he feels the need to prove his toughness every game because I think he knows that it's generally questioned. So we're ecstatic that he's signed for the next 5 years. He's going to give us his best years, and I think it's absolutely incumbent on the club now to make the most of that. To sort of say to Kalen, look, we take on board that you've locked us in for your prime years, and we're going to do everything we can to maximise that talent and see if we can help deliver you the premiership that you want to win with us. So I think it's a great signing, and it still confuses me that Knights fans aren't universally celebrating him staying with us long term. I don't understand. I really genuinely don't understand the criticisms of him.
Yeah. Look, he's a good player, and he's the future of the club. And yeah, look, I think it's great for Newcastle that they've re-signed him for that. So yeah, it's good for them. But my key players now for the Warriors, I'll go through my key players. So, I've got lots of Reece Walsh at the back, fullback. We've got Ben Merritt-Marcella. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes this week. He's taking over Adam Fanua-Blake's. Yeah. You got Tohu Harris in the second row, which I thought Tohu Harris had a very good game despite us going down last week. And you got Ewan Aiken as well. So those are my key players for the Warriors and the Newcastle Knights. But is there any other particular player that you're looking at for the Warriors in terms of key players, or just Reece Walsh?
I always keep an eye out for Sean Johnson. I think he's lost a little bit of pace. Obviously, he's getting older. He's coming back from fairly significant lower leg injuries, but he's someone needs to remind him that he'll be the best half out on the field on Saturday, and I think if he goes in with that confidence, like I said, I really do think it's up to his forwards to give him that go forward to because once you get the Knights backpedaling, like you can just run over them all afternoon. And so I think if the forwards sort of get on top early, Sean's got more than enough in his artillery to move that ball around and find his outside men and score some points for the Warriors. So always mindful of Sean Johnson whenever he lines up against us, and if we can shut him down, that'll be a big job for the Knights this weekend.
Yeah. Just looking at the here, so that's bet here. So betting prices. The Warriors are paying $1.65. Newcastle Knights are paying $2.25. Which is very interesting there. Look, I personally think that for me, the Warriors. Look, I want to say I don't know if we're favourites. I want to say we're favourites, but it's at home and that because we've not lost at home this year. We're unbeaten at Morton Daly Stadium this year, which is good for us. But yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, I think the game could go either way. I think this game, like Newcastle, if they turn up and the likes of Safidi brothers, and that they all play well, and then you got Kalen Ponga, who's if he's got given room, he's a dangerous player, and we have to watch out for him. So those players, Tyson Frizzell, and that they all play well. He loves there as well. That's the key, I think. Anthony Milford and Jake Clifford, to see how those two go step up. I think mindful of those type of players. So
I think
for me, is probably the key. Yep.
I think for me, one of the reasons that I'm actually surprised that the Knights are that short, to be honest, for two reasons. One is that we are coming 15th on the ladder, so 3 wins this season, it's just not good enough. But the other big reason for me, and I'm really surprised that more people aren't backing the Warriors more, is that the Knights just are terrible away from home. like we are just terrible, particularly going to Queensland. We always fall to bits when we play the Titans at Cbus Stadium. Considering how well the Cowboys went over the Storm last weekend, maybe I'd give us a bit more credit for that, but we still lost quite badly in the second half. The Knights don't travel to Queensland well at all. That is one thing that Nathan O'Brien. There's one thing that Adam O'Brien has done really poorly since he started coaching this team is getting the Knights ready for games up in Queensland. So I am genuinely shocked that we're that short. I thought we'd be $3 plus easily, just given the travel alone and the fact that we're running so poorly already. So that's interesting to me.
Yeah, maybe, they're probably factoring the Warriors' poor performance over the last couple of weeks because we have lost 3 in a row. And if we lose this game, it's going to be 4 in a row. So it's not good at the moment. We're only on 4 wins. I think it's 4 wins, 7 losses. So we're 12th at the moment on the ladder. Newcastle, like you said, they're 15th on the ladder. So, yeah, both are nowhere near the top 8 at the moment, just the top 8. But yeah, anyway, so I'll go to the head-to-head stats now, both sides. So this is actually very interesting. So head-to-head, so the Warriors and the Newcastle Knights, they've played 43 times. The Warriors have won 22 and the Newcastle Knights have won 20. And there's been 1 draw. And the previous meeting was the 19th of June 2021, which the Newcastle Knights did win 10 points to 6 on a scoring game. And the 19th of March 2021, Newcastle won it, and it was another close one, 20 points to 16. So, yeah, what is your thoughts on that, actually? It's very interesting head-to-head. We both played twice last year, and they were both close matchups. So maybe expect another close matchup this week.
I got distracted actually by the head-to-head stats. I think I actually remember the draw that we had with the Warriors in our history was over in Auckland. I think it was back in the Joey Johns, Matty Johns days. But I think that was, I've got a feeling it was in 1999, 2000. So my mind sort of wandered a little bit back then. That's. I'm just trying to think. When did we play? All right, so I was at the 10-6. I was actually at the last 2 games. Yeah, the 10-6 one was a really weird game because that we were at home for that, and again our season was sort of sputtering. But the thing I actually remember about that game was actually the game where Jaden Brayley ran the length of the field from the other side of the field, and he tackled, I want to say Reece Walsh.
Yep.
And he just and that in the end was the difference in the game. The 16-20 game as well, that was at Central Coast Stadium. It was round 2, and I was at that one as well. And that was actually, with absolute all due respect to the Warriors, that was actually a game that we were behind, I think, for most of the game. I always felt like the Knights were going to get over the top on that one. For me, the 2020 clash that is the real indicator in terms of the history of these teams. You know how I was talking before about the fact that if the Warriors can get that early upfront domination, in that first 10 minutes, that's actually the game that I was thinking of in 2020 because the Knights are in really good form. We were going into that game. I think we were favourites, and and the Warriors just came out, absolutely blitzed us. And so that's probably the Warriors that I'm expecting this weekend, because that 16-20 loss, that was in round 2 last year. And the Knights historically over the past few years, they start the first 2 or 3 rounds really well. Like they always start really well. And the Warriors, you feel, are a team that they need to build into the season. The 10-6 win to the Knights, again, that was obviously the second meeting for the season, but the Warriors actually generally play quite poorly at McDonald Jones Stadium, and I have no idea why. So for me, the last 2 times that these teams have met aren't really good indicators of what you should be expecting for this weekend. It's the 2020 matchup that I'm sort of concerned about, that I'm expecting this weekend, because like it was in 2020, it's up on the Gold Coast. The Knights don't travel well. It's midway through the season now. It's not early on in the season, so the Warriors have started to pick up that energy and that edge. And that's the game that that comes to mind as to why I'm the most concerned about what the Warriors will do to Newcastle this weekend.
Yeah. Look, I know Newcastle, I think their record generally is quite hard. Like away from home, it's not generally great, and I think at home, but I think this year, stadium, they've played some tough opposition, and yeah, look, they haven't been able to get over the wood over there. But what's your thoughts on that? Actually, Newcastle, when they're at home this year, like in terms of their performances, do you think like the pressure of playing at home is too much for Newcastle, or
I don't
when
know.
they're at home this year?
I honestly don't know anymore. We were told at the beginning of the year that we wanted to turn the stadium back into a sort of fortress, and also they finished the last 6 rounds away from, or 6 or 7 rounds away from home, obviously because of COVID last year. So they wanted to come back and sort of repay the fans a little bit, and we definitely had high hopes after round 2 when we won our opening game against the Tigers. But we've essentially been outscored 150 to I think 16 ever since, and it's just 150 to I think it's something like 155 to 22, and we've just been generally pathetic at home over the last four games. So I don't know I just don't know what's going on with this team. The team that we saw over the first 3 or 4 rounds is just it's not the team that we've been watching over the last 2 months, and I just can't explain it.
Yeah, that's something I found quite odd, because the season quite well, and something I don't understand is they started the season well. I think it was they won their first 2 games. I think that was, and then from there on, suddenly it was just a bit of a decline from there. I mean, they've got I think they've got the team to be a top 8 team. Actually, I think the players in that, and it just hasn't worked out for them. I mean, you can say the same about us too. We have a team on paper that can be a finals team, but can be a bottom 8. But that is what it is today. So
something that
anyway, you got any how do you think the game's going to go now in terms of a prediction? Yep.
Go
ahead.
Just quickly. Yeah, just quickly, something that Bretto and I spoke about on our last pod was we discussed player motivation. Like, as a coach, you can have all the ideas in the world, and you can have all the tactics, and you can have all the strategies, but essentially the things that have separated your Wayne Bennett and Craig Bellamy from every other coach over the last 40 years is that they are 2 coaches who consistently, and I'm talking consistently over decades, not even Trent Robinson can sort of lay claim to that, but consistently over decades, they've been able to get teams individually motivated every week of the season, where they always put in. And so I just wanted to quickly touch on that in terms of the Knights and the Warriors. That I think I can understand why some people would think that's what makes this game such a hard one to predict. But for me, the motivation for the Warriors is that this is a gettable win. Like, they will see this as a gettable win for them. Like, you look at the losses that they've had. The Storm game is a perfect example. The Warriors played like a team for that first 40 minutes where they were like, we're in this. We've stayed in this. We're doing well to stay in this. We've done really well. But you always got the sense at halftime that they believed in themselves, that they'd reached their limit there. And once Melbourne came out and stepped it up a little bit, the motivation just disappeared. For me, though, the Warriors, I have no doubt that their motivation will be, this is absolutely a game that we can win. Whereas my concern with the Knights is that I don't know where their motivation is. I don't know what motivates them anymore. And my concern is that they'll go up there with the mentality that, well, let's see if we can stick with the Warriors. And as I've just sort of explained, that's the mistake the Warriors made with the Storm. So I don't know where the motivation for the Knights comes from anymore and how they get up. So, yeah, I predict that I think Warriors, if they're genuine this weekend, they'll score 30 plus. And again, I'm sort of hoping that Milford and Clifford will give us a little bit more variety in attack, but I still think they'll have limited opportunities. So I'm sort of predicting anywhere from, say, a 32 to maybe 16 win for the Warriors.
Yeah, wow, that's very interesting because for me, I'm not as confident as you seem to be more confident in your prediction than mine. So yeah, look, as a Warriors fan, it's been slim pickings. Yeah, so I don't know. You seem to be more positive about the Warriors winning than, but I think I think, I know I've tipped us the last couple of weeks and it hasn't gone our way. Yeah, I'll say Warriors 26, Knights 18. Yeah,
I would take that result.
I don't think it'll be too much.
I would absolutely take that result.
I don't, winning. I don't see us winning by a lot. I think most of our games at Redcliffe this year have all been close games. The game against the Raiders, I think that game was decided by a point. The game against the Cowboys as well was also one. I think this has the potential to be another 1 point a game. I've gone with 26-18. And look, who do you think? Who do you think will score the tries for in this game? Who are you picking for the anytime try scorers?
I think for the Knights, I think Dominic Young will probably bag a try at some point for the Knights. I can absolutely see Mitchell Barnett grabbing one, sort of trying to put on a good show for his new team next year. And it's always hard for me to go past KP. So I think that's where the three will get some points from. Jake Clifford will probably take back kicking duties. He's not the most reliable kicker. So I think he'll get a couple of conversions. So that's where I think the 16 points will come from for the Knights. For the Warriors, would you like me to do the Warriors as well?
Yep. For me, look, for the anytime try scorers, Dallin. I'll go Dallin with Timmy Zalesny.
Yeah. He'll shithouse his way to a try against the Knights.
For Newcastle, for you guys, Ponga, I think maybe a bust through the middle, some weak Warriors defense, which I think for me it's still a concern. I mean, I think the side you can target for the Warriors, this thing is because our wingers are getting caught out quite a lot of times, and that's frustrating. It's very frustrating for me.
Yeah.
I think at defense, on the left and probably the right. I think that could be a weakness that the Knights could expose. So maybe a Caleb Ponga try there, and
the problem for the Knights
Young
though,
probably to score as well. So yeah, those
the problem for the Knights though.
Yeah, look, yep.
I was just going to quickly say the problem for the Knights though is that as much as your edges are weak, ours are actually a lot weaker. Like we've been really heavily exposed down on the edge but that's because our middle just has been quite soft, and so our sort of edge defense has been spending a lot of time trying to catch its breath and trying to keep up with the game, and so they're by the time the ball's being spread wide, they're fucked. And so that's why I think the weakness that the Warriors have had has the opportunity to be their strength. because you do have a lot of firepower out there. Like Marcelo Montoya and Dallin Wateni-Zelezniak, when they're on their day, they can score from any position. So that's why I go back to what I said at the beginning, that what each team's forwards do is absolutely vital in this game. And just historically, when we play the Warriors away from home, the Warriors forwards get on top. So I do agree with you that there are some edge deficiencies there with the Warriors. It's just the Knights have been worse, and we're below you on the table for that reason.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. It's just for me, it's really much still a concern defensively for me. So, I think some of our tries that we leak, I think we're the team that has leaked the most points this year, like in terms of second half. So we're up there in the stats in terms of that, but that's just not great at all. So yeah, but anyways, K-Dog from the Bay 53 podcast. Thanks for jumping on and coming on for the preview. I really appreciate your time. And then look, any last thing you'd like to say before we preview?
Oh, mate, I just want to thank you so much for letting me join you. I love chatting about rugby league, and I think one of the things that myself and Bretto have enjoyed the most doing our little podcast has been some of the people that we've met along the way. And can I just say, I've been a follower of yours for a couple of years now, and your passion and enthusiasm for the game just it gets me every time. And keep doing what you're doing, mate. I love what the way you sort of carry yourself and the way you follow the game, and I think you're a great advocate for not only the Warriors but rugby league in general. So thank you very much for having me on. It's been interesting, and I'm sorry I'm so down on them. I feel like you and I were both sort of we were battling to see who could be harder on their team tonight, but. Yeah, it's been really good fun.
Yeah, no worries. And thanks for the comments. I really appreciate that. Kind word that you said to me about how I be good for the rugby league community. I mean,
you are.
I'm not the only one. There's a lot of great content creators out there, casters. There's plenty out there on the community out there, and they're doing well with the Bay 53 podcast, which I started to follow this year, just started closely, and I will listen to your podcast regularly. So yeah, go check out the Bay 53 podcast. They're on all the pod platforms. Also they've got Twitter and a Instagram page as well. So I'll put the links into their podcast and social medias in the description below. But yeah, for those who are watching, hopefully the Warriors can get the victory on Saturday. But cheers, guys, for watching. Don't forget, subscribe to this channel. Like the video and like the stream back if you're watching it back. And I'll see you guys all for the next one. See you, everyone. And we end it. Oh, hang on, right, but that. Stand now.